Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Sihle Mdluli, and I'll be presenting on the Swaziland Livestock Information and Traceability System, which we call SLITS. SLITS is actually a two-in-one system. It is a livestock identification and traceability system integrated within an animal health information system. It was developed through a project which was funded by government with the assistance of the FAO. And its purpose is to assist with disease control and surveillance, and to also assist with the certification for trade, and to also assist with stock theft issues, especially cross-border stock theft, and to some extent with ownership issues. SLITS is governed by two principal legislation. We have the Livestock Identification Act, 13 of 2001, which provides for the registration of livestock identification marks, as well as the compulsory marking of stock. We also have the Animal Diseases Act of 7 of 1965, which is responsible for all animal health issues in the country, as well as movement controls. We also have draft regulations under the Livestock Identification Act, which are still awaiting to be passed by Parliament. The system is based on an animal health system which has been in existence since time memorial. We call this system the deep tank system. And under this system, the country is divided into 4 technical regions, and those regions are divided into sub-regions, and each sub-region is divided into deep tank areas. So within those deep tank areas, every livestock owner is required by law to be registered to a deep tank structure which is in that area. And cattle, sheep, and goats are also required to be presented for dipping every 14 days in summer, 14 to 28 days in winter, depending on which part of the country you are in. And cattle, sheep, goats, and pigs are also required by law to have a movement permit before they are moved from one part of the country to the next. So when we build SLITS, we just try to computerize the system which is already in existence. SLITS currently deals with cattle, but we are hoping that in the next 5 years we will include the other species, which is the sheep, goats, the pigs, and bees with a question mark. And what is currently happening now is that at 4 weeks, we first of all identify the animal, individually identify the animal. We register it, and then we track its movement through the issuance of electronic movement permits. We track its movement as it moves within the country, or as it moves to outside the country, or as we get imports. We also record any animal health activities that happen at the deep tank. And then we keep those records in a manual system and also in a computerized system. The identification part is in 2 forms. We have the voluntary owner's identification, which includes branding on the right side of the animal. And then we have the 2 national compulsory identifications. Those are the branding, which happens on the left side, and then we have the ear tagging. The branding, as I've said, is done on the left side, and it identifies the animal to the country using a head mark, a country mark, which is a shield, and we brand that mark on the left forelimb of the animal. And then it also identifies that animal to a head, which is, in our case, a deep tank. What I forgot to tell you is that all animals within a deep tank area, even if they do have different owners, they all belong to that deep tank, and we regard them as one head. So if it is an imported animal, we brand CI instead of the deep tank number, and the CI stands for cattle import. For the ear tagging, this is for individual identification. And we use 2 colors of tags: a blue tag for the imported animals, a yellow tag for the local animals. We do double tagging. We use the leaf-like tag, which is our primary tag, and it goes to the left side of the animal. And then we use the button ear tag, which is our secondary tag, and it works as the backup for the system. We import the tags, and they come pre-printed, but we control the numbers. So after we have after we've done the tagging, we then register the animal. We register its ID, which is the tag number, of course, its sex, its breed, its color, date of birth, date of registration, and then we link it to its mother, and then we link it to the diphthong area where it belongs to. The crawls and the crawl types is just how we register the owners. We then link it to also the owner. And then once we have registered it in the system, we then just track its movement through issuing of movement permits. Inside the country, if it's moving from one diphthong to the other, one sub-region to another, one region to the other, we issue a stock removal permit. When it's coming from outside, we issue an import permit. When it's leaving the country, we issue an export permit. And all of these are done through the electronic database. We also record at the diphthongs the animal health activities. Like I've said, we keep the records using two systems. We have the manual system, which is at diphthong level, and then we have the computerized system, which is at sub-regional office level. At the diphthong, we have three forms of registers. We have the SLITS livestock register, where we record each individual animal. Then we have the diphthong register, where we record mostly the animal health activities that occur in that diphthong. Then we have a smear form book, where we record the deaths. What is still missing in this system is the disease notification. For there, we are still using the SADC livestock information and management system, and we are trying to find ways of interfacing the two systems. We then transfer all of those records to the computerized system, which we call SLITS version 1 database, which is at office level. So the database has 7 core modules. There are more, but there are several core ones. We have the registration of the diphthong areas. We also have a module for the registration of the crawl owners. We have the module for registering the animals. This is where you also register the laboratory tests which are done to that particular animal, its deaths, and so on and so forth. And then we have the dipping events. They go to the diphthong, they dip in such a certain day. It was present, it was absent. And then we have the livestock movement module, where we issue the local, within the country movements. And then we have the livestock imports, where we issue the import permits. Livestock export is for those leaving the country, those which are being terminated from the database. And then we have the slaughter module. This is mostly used by the export abattoir. It has the ant-mortem inspections, your export, your meat inspection, your residency, and so on and so forth. And then we have a module that deals with the ordering and distribution of the ear tags. And then we have the brands register for the owner's brands. So this database is installed in a server, which is housed by the government computer services at headquarters in Mbabane. And the sub-regional offices, they access it through a government network infrastructure. And those are some of the sub-regional offices that are already online. We do have some which are still not online. So the challenges that we are facing with the system currently is the issue of technical backup. We do not have a local technical backup to maintain the database. Government computer services doesn't have the capacity to do so, because it has been developed in a platform which the country is not using. So we outsource that function, and as a result, this has a really huge cost implication. We also have a problem with the government network infrastructure, which we are currently using. It is not available in some areas, hence we have some sub-regional offices which are not online, and this has an implication on the efficiency of updating our database. There is also that problem of staff resistance to change. Our younger officers, they've taken to the computer very easy. Some of us, the older generation, we are struggling getting there. And this also has an effect on updating the database. And there's also that livestock owners resistant to change, especially the commercial producers who already had their own management system. So baby steps. And all, Mr. Chairman, that's it from me.